Elsewhere, there are major brands like the New York Times and Forbes in the gaming space covering the massive industry that make it harder for smaller sites to compete. But even there are problems. The Washington Post recently called almost its entire gaming vertical cut down to more or less one guy. Hi, Gene. Consolidation sucks in general, and he kind of brushes over it, but using Metacritic as
the reason why is because the articles aren't making any money. Like, why are we talking about how this is like a bad thing? Oh, the Washington Post got rid of all these people. Do you know why they got rid of all those people? It's because those people weren't making them any money and the articles they were writing were bad. That's the reason why. I don't think this issue is unique to gaming. It isn't, but because gaming is much more consolidated than something really large like politics, it's easier to identify the issues.
Great example. When they were purchased by Fandom, I threw Metacritic out the window because I viewed it as compromised. Because it's now owned by a company that owns video game publications and journalists.
This is maybe another hot take. Everything is compromised. Everything you should second guess. You shouldn't believe anything until you verify it, even if it's something you agree with, especially if it's something you agree with. It doesn't matter any of this stuff. Always, always, always be skeptical about everything.
That review games, and then they get to control and curate what those scores are, whose scores they include, what scores they don't, how those scores are tallied, and everything like that. And then they get to play whatever tune they want to get us to buy whatever they want us to buy. And I don't appreciate that. That's not something that I want.
Sure.
So I pretty much only use OpenCritic from time to time, Steam reviews.
Somebody says even about me, of course I'm compromised. Absolutely. Like, I have my own biases, my own opinions, and my own thoughts and everything, and I've had my own experiences that can differ from other people's, and because of that, I'm going to give a take that sometimes other people won't resonate with, and they might not agree with. So everything that even I say, you should definitely take a second to be like, is this actually true? Ask yourself the question, like, is this really true? You shouldn't just listen to what I'm saying and be like, oh yeah, I agree, right? You should think about it and think, do you really agree? Trust but verify, yes.
Or the eye test and watch somebody else play it to see if it's something that I'm going to like playing.
Yeah.
And that sucks because that means that there's less places for us to be able to get more information for us to make educated purchases. And obviously, if you guys have watched any of my videos in the past, that's something that I'm a big fan of. That one of the other things that Paul brings up, and he's talking about these bigger gaming sites or these bigger publications in general, and he's talking about the New York Times or Forbes.
Yeah, these are not gaming websites, by the way. Steam reviews, again, are so good. Yeah. Like, do I want to hear somebody's opinion about the game that's played it as a journalist for like 15 hours? I want to hear like some fucking loser addict that's put 378 hours on the game and rates it as a bad game, and like he rated it as a bad game 200 hours into the playthrough. And so he's put 170 more hours into the playthrough after he said it was a bad game. He wouldn't recommend it. That's who I want to hear from. I want to hear from him because he knows what he's talking about. This guy's a fucking professional.
And what's really funny is with Paul's article specifically is anytime there's any big, huge gaming news, their website is almost always at the top, specifically because Forbes is such a high-traffic site to begin with. It's a respected site. It's been around for many, many years, and it's used for all kinds of different things.
I would agree with that. I think that Forbes is probably one of the more respected websites even now. Like in spectrum, right? A lot of people don't respect any journalism, but inside of the scope of not respecting any journalism, people don't respect Forbes the least. If that makes sense.
It's going to be ranked higher in any search result.
Yeah.
And what sucks about that is that when you start putting more and more of these publications, more of these higher-end publications at the very top, then that means the smaller guys don't really have much of a voice. They end up dying as a result. And then now you're left with just a few opinions. And as these companies continue to lay off and get rid of people, well, that's a problem too, because now there's less voices and less types of opinions at the...
No, I don't think that's the reason. I think the reason is because, basically, so there's an ecosystem that these reviews exist in, and in order to understand why reviews are the way they are, you have to understand what the ecosystem really is. So the way the ecosystem works is that reviews are written, and then ads are placed on the reviews that then drive traffic to the website. So if the advertisements are not there, then the website doesn't make any money. And then if the website doesn't make any money, the reviews stop existing. So what ends up happening is that if somebody puts out a review and it's something that goes against like what is traditional gaming journalism, messaging, everybody goes out of their mind and they try to get these people deplatformed. I think a great example of this is me. Look about like, I feel like what I say on my channel, I think that I'm like one of the only people that's talking sense. Very few people, I think, are trying to look at things critically and objectively. And obviously, right? Again, maybe I'm being delusional, right? Maybe. But like this is my own delusions of grandeur, right? And so I believe that I'm looking at things in the most objective way that I possibly can, right? I really, really try to do that. And I also don't think that I'm really a bad actor. But if you read what people say about me on Twitter, you'd think that I've already killed probably at least, 3 kittens today? I mean, minimum, right? Probably more. I ate one of them. And so if you read this stuff, you think I'm the worst person ever. Why is it? Well, it's because I made a tweet from like 4 years ago. Maybe it's because I said something or I laughed at a joke or, I called somebody a retard or I didn't like a video game or, it's just always something stupid, right? And what happens is that these websites get like these people that create narratives, these bad narratives about them, and then it destroys their reputation, and then the advertisers leave. Because the advertisers don't want to be sponsored. Like, they're not really making a lot of money out of this anyway, right? Because these websites don't really make a lot of money. So it's not worth the brand risk for them to associate with somebody that everybody says hates gay people. Or they hate...
Yo, what's up, David?
Women or something like that. So, like, for example, if...
Oh, why is it picking it up now? That's dumb. Hold on.
If a small website, right... writes an article about how the sexualization in Stellar Blade is actually good, and then every other person writes an article about how that person is sexist and that website is sexist, and then that website loses its monetization because the advertisers are bullied into leaving, well then guess what happens? This same exact thing.
It's crazy. I'm using like speakers.
So whenever video game journalists are complaining about the fact that there's only one message and journalism is becoming more consolidated, the reason for that is because of your own actions. It's because you're creating narratives that don't exist. You're saying things that aren't true. You're drawing correlations that aren't there. So yes, whenever you take all of these other people like, oh, YouTubers are racist or sexist or whatever, what? No, what are you talking about? You did this to yourself. Yes, you did. No. And so this is the exact result, is because whenever you go after, and they do this with a sense of moral authority. They do it as if, oh yeah, I'm doing this because I'm fighting the good fight. I'm on the right side of history. Everybody who's fucking fighting at any time, that everybody thinks they're on the right side of history. That's the stupidest argument you can ever think of. Oh, of course you are.
Oh, hello.
Yeah, they're shunning your audience, exactly. Attack the character, not the argument, and it works. That's why they do it. They think they're morally superior. And so that's why...
Like, it works sometimes.
You don't see any of these smaller websites. It's because whenever these smaller websites or these smaller people, think about whenever I step out of line and I say something that, like, people in journalism dislike.
Yeah, it's gonna be annoying. Hold on.
Everybody's writing an article about me. Oh, I'm so bad. Sexist, racist, everything, right? And it's like as soon as you're one, you're all of them. And Dexter, yeah, exactly. And so if you do this against a smaller website, it's going to massively damage the website's credibility. It's going to really hurt that website in a big way. And so that's why it's happened too. The line is very thin nowadays, so there's no line. It's just depending. Imagine respecting other people's opinions. No, it doesn't happen. Isn't it just a vocal minority who cares about what they say? Well, the advertisers do, which is why at the beginning of this conversation, I wanted to create the framework of how they exist in the ecosystem and how websites have to have opinions that are congruent with what advertisers are okay with. Because if they don't have that, then other websites and other people bully the advertisers into leaving, which forces the website into changing. It's an ecosystem that they exist in, and I'm explaining the cause and effect of the different factors inside of the ecosystem.
These companies, and you're only getting, as an example with Forbes, you're only getting one or two guys' opinion, and they start sounding the exact same. He gives the example of another publication that really only has one guy. Again, now you only have one voice at that entire publication.
You always had one voice. It's always how it was. Somebody says, does it bother you in any way if they write articles about you that aren't true? Who cares? I can't, it's their freedom of speech. They can write whatever they want. Now, obviously, at some point, it might be defamation or something like that. But overall, no, I say negative things about them, too. That's the game. I'm fine with it. It's okay. They say whatever they want.
And you get a bit of an echo chamber across all of these companies, especially as they consolidate. That sucks. That's not good in general, because now we don't have access to the variety of opinions that we once had for us to be able to...
We never did. We never did. And I encourage anyone who doesn't believe what I'm saying to look it up for themselves. Don't take my word for it. Do not take my word. Don't listen to me. I want you to look up the different opinions that people have on a Resident Evil 5 remake, on Stellar Blade, and on Hogwarts Legacy. Look those up and then tell me if we're not already in this place and we haven't been here for years.
Discern and come up with opinions of our own and make educated opinions as a result of that. If you look at any of your favorite YouTubers or Twitch streamers or whatever, one of the reasons why we have the ability to be able to come up with the opinions that we have is because we go through and we read a bunch of these articles, we watch a bunch of different videos, and we try to get as many different opinions as possible, as far to one.
And that's again, I like him bringing this up because this is a great point, because it goes back to a very functional argument that people want to have different opinions even if they disagree with them. If you look at the people that I follow on Twitter, I follow a lot of psychos on Twitter. It doesn't mean I agree with them, but I'm like, what was he saying, right? I want to keep up with it, right? And so, this happens all the time.
Side or the other to try to find where we want to be in the middle. You know what I mean?
True.
But one of the other things that I have a problem with, too, and he doesn't really bring this up, but
Man's playing OSRS and RS3 graphics. Yeah, pretty much. It's a 117 HD. You have to... settings. If you want me to explain it, I will, but I've already done it so much. But just let me know.
I think it's going to be a really big issue, is that as more and more of this information becomes difficult to attain, it's going to make it difficult for new people to get involved in content creation regardless of wherever.
Yo, there's two Davids? That's cool. I just realized that. No, oldschool runescape's great. It's just, I feel like this is something that I like. I don't know. It just feels like it was made in today's time. The other one gives me nostalgia. I like it, but this one just it looks good. I don't know.
It is. If it's YouTube, Twitch, on journalism or bloggers, whatever it might be. And the reason why I say that is because if gaming media continues to die off the way that it is, well, then YouTubers that have access to these developers and access to that information are going to be the only ones that can actually control that information, and everybody else just going to have to react to whatever they say, and that's just not something that's good. Well,
that's already what's happening.
There's a lot more than two Davids. No, it's only YouTube. All the other Davids are gone.
It's just now that somebody else is wearing the hat. I don't really think that's any sort of unique problem versus what we have right now. I also don't think that games media is dying. I think games media as a collective is massively growing. I think that especially if you measure the amount of, impressions that games media gets now versus pre-COVID, 2018, 2019, especially pre-Fortnite, I bet if you looked at 2016 versus now, you would see games media with probably close to a 2x. Whereas you had 100, now you have 200. If you had 1,000, now you have 2,000. I think that it's massively increased in a huge way. So it's not really that games journalism or games media is dying. It's that traditional games journalism is dying. Then why the consolidation? Because video game journalism is a very small, like, here. Really simple, right? This is how big games media is. This is games journalism.
Wait, but it's not RuneScape 3, though. This doesn't even really look like RuneScape 3, in my opinion. RuneScape 3 looks, like, weird. I don't like it. You look like little claymation people.
It's that simple.
Of the Google algorithm or YouTube algorithm, or just healthy for creators in general. And channels like mine, smaller channels like mine, wouldn't be able to exist if it wasn't for the fact that these publications and opinions have been around. Because if all of this information was being controlled by Skill Up and Gamer Ranks and IGN's YouTube channel and things like that, well, then I wouldn't have as much to deliver to you, because I wouldn't have as many opinions and variety of content to be able to look through and wade through and bring to you. Paul continues with something interesting, saying that there is a public war against the games journalists by, in part, the anti-woke crowd who believe that progressive-leaning outlets are going extinct because of allegedly activist takes.
They are. It's true. It's obvious, and that's why the decline happened after Gamergate. Read the graphs. I don't like...
I need a BOFA. Alright, so how am I gonna get a BOFA? I think I might just honestly farm. It would take me like, let's see. I don't want to sell anything. I like collecting things. I'll see what I can sell. I'm gonna get a BOFA, I think.
Opinions. I will have an opinion if I have to have an opinion.
I suck at Gauntlet. I'm gonna buy it.
But what I like a lot more than opinions are...
Actually, I might go to Gauntlet.
...are graphs. Read the fucking graph.
And there are also console fanboys who are constantly ripping outlets for allegedly favoring one...
That's a fucking fact. That... He's right about that. 100% right. Oh my god. Bro. Oh yeah. That there it is.
Piece of hardware over another, or lambasting them for inconsistent opinions across dozens of writers who have diverse viewpoints.
Paul's right about this too, by the way. He's completely right. All the time I'll see a website where it's like, which one is it, Kotaku? Which one is it, IGN? And it's like 2 articles written by different people.
In short, when you bring up the layoffs and general destruction of the industry, the reaction from gamers is often a disheartening, good, they deserve it. I'm going to need you to pump the brakes there, Paul. See, I like being a...
No. I'll say it. Good, they deserve it. That's exactly what I think. If you misuse your position, if you mischaracterize your audience, if you mislead them intentionally, you will lose your audience and your industry will die. And that's exactly what's happened. It's a fact, and you can prove it. Every single one of you can prove it. Content creators have had this same problem. Yes, you get what you fucking deserve. That's right. They forgot who the bottom line was. They thought they were the bottom line. The customer is the bottom line.
Able to have access to a variety of different opinions. It gives me the opportunity to be able to contrast my perspective with the perspective of hundreds or thousands of other people, and allows me to
act like the opinions and the seemingly like hegemony of like opinions that like gaming journalism have has no impact on people taking it seriously. This would be immediately disproven by asking a person, do you think that, like, these people, do you believe in Fox News? Would you believe Fox News? No, I won't. Why? Well, because they have stupid opinions. Exactly. Fucking exactly. So how is it so incomprehensible to imagine that people think the same thing about you? It just, and again, people have self-referential logic. Well, what I think is real and what everybody else thinks is fake, and so everybody else should think what I think, and anybody who's not isn't in reality. That's fine, but there's plenty of people that believe in flat Earth, and they still fucking vote. That's the problem.
Yeah. That's the problem. Gauntlet isn't that bad. It took me like 40 deaths in a row for first clear, then 3 more clears after that to get perfect. That's crazy. You don't even need to do CG. You can do normal gauntlet, which is definitely, yeah, normal gauntlet's easy. I've done that a lot. I think I've done, I think I've done corrupted at least once. I don't remember. But, yeah, I want to learn the Coliseum too. I got like the first 2 waves. I'm about to go work on the 3rd wave. I'm gonna do it 1 wave at a time and pretty much just farm gold while I'm doing it.
Main character
Still,
syndrome,
my
it is.
opinion, down to something that I think is educated and worthwhile.
And I just like the point I'm bringing that up is their argumentation immediately consumes itself. It immediately disproves itself as soon as you ask them why they don't believe other sites.
My bad. Coliseum is way harder than CG. Yeah, no, I'm not trying to like get the quiver. I'm just trying to get 8. I'm trying to get 6,000 glory, so that I can have gladiator, and I can turn these valuables in for 65 GP instead of 55. It honestly makes no sense, but like, it goes with the story that I'm making for the video. You know what I mean? Like, and I feel I gotta get the 65. Yeah, so I'm just gonna farm like wave 1 through 3 until I get 3 down, and then I'm gonna farm 1 through 4 until I get 4 down, and then yeah, until I get 6,000 points, and then I'm probably just gonna farm wave 1 just to make a little bit more gold.
Everybody knows this to be true, but people can only create an argument with it inside of a vacuum. The strongest arguments are the ones that can be used across different examples. If you can only make an argument inside of one insular example and it can't be applied to anything else, it's probably a bad argument.
That said, we can't say allegedly activist takes when they are purely
Thanks for watching.
activist
This is a great
takes,
video.
purely
Well, I've been I
pandering,
love this.
purely virtue
Legendary
signaling
drops
more
in
than
chat.
anything else. Look at half of the dialogue that was around Stellar Blade.
Oh,
Baldur's Gate 3 at one point.
Holy
How
fuck.
about the fact that Polygon
Yeah, nobody, by the way, nobody wrote an article about how Baldur's Gate 3, the bear sex scene, was promoting bestiality. Nobody wrote an article about how it was promoting degeneracy and it was making our culture worse. Nobody wrote an article about that, did they? Now, I think it's funny, but the fact is that a lot of people didn't. And that is, again, another example of a completely one-sided type of conversation. I didn't buy the game because of it? Well, good for you. I'm proud of you. Like, good job. Pat yourself on the back. Even if it's true, it's not a good argument? Yes. It's cherry-picked. And so I just want to make sure, like, this exists whenever games are bad, too. It's completely one-sided.
Out an article talking about how health
Doing wave 1, 2, 3 is the best profit if you aren't max. Yeah, that's what I'll probably do. I have to get... Can you get 6,000 glory with wave 1, 2, 3? Or do you have to go to other waves? I don't know. I just want 6,000 glory. And then I'm just going to do 1 through 3 probably. Asmon is based in most topics until he gets into his emotions. He's easily offended. He does, and like he tries to act like it doesn't offend him, but it's like if you watched him long enough, you just know. Like, that's funny.
Helldivers 2 was making people fascists. Come on, man. Look, I'm not going to sit here and cry, and I totally understand why people are cheering on the fact that some of these folks are losing their jobs and some of these publications are going out of business.
I am. I think it's good. I think that this is what needs to happen. This has been a reckoning that's needed to happen for a long time. It's been long overdue, and finally it's happening. These are people who have built their careers around misusing a position of power and import and using it to spread an agenda that does not resonate with an audience. It doesn't resonate with what the people truly believe. They also, if you disagree with them, will completely mischaracterize you in unfair ways. And this is what you fucking get. This is it. I'm sorry. I'm a spiteful person in a lot of ways. Whenever something bad happens to somebody that I don't like, it makes me happy. You get what you fucking deserve. Thank God. And not a moment too soon.
Because they have spent their time.
Hey, yo. What's up, Name Cross?
I'm actively trying to pander to an audience
Absolutely.
that
Oh, yeah, this is old school RuneScape, yeah.
probably doesn't even exist. And if
They
it
do.
does exist, they're not even interested in that.
Sorry, I keep pausing. This is Varlamore. But I'm also using a plugin for RuneLite called 117 HD.
There's
content
dozens of
were in
them.
those games in the first place. And then beyond that, they're spending the rest of that time talking down to an audience that put them where they are in the first place.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to cry for them, nor should
Fuck 'em.
anybody else, because they're
Thank
getting...
you. Fuck them. That's right. That's what you get. It's the same as, whenever a content creator, some streamer starts making a lot of money and he's like, oh, I'm better than my viewers. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here, pussy. Oh, now everybody's being mean to me. Yeah, because you're a fucking asshole. What are you doing?
what they deserve for doing bad business. They compromised their own integrity. They compromised their own work because I have to look through 7 or 8 layers of biases to be able to see what a rude opinion is anytime I'm reading any of those articles. Half of it is just there for engagement purposes, clickbaiting, and rage baiting more than anything else. Fuck them. Paul concludes.
You haven't unlocked Varlamore? It's do the quest Children of the Sun. Super easy. It takes like 5 minutes. And you get a bird. You get a bird named Renew. Really cool. You think you like RS3 better? If you take away Runelight. If you take away Runelight, no one... I wouldn't say no one. I probably wouldn't play if you took away Runelight. I'm not even gonna lie.
The article with...
Or honestly, they have the Runelight HD has a lot of updates. And the regular client's getting some good updates. But yeah. I probably wouldn't play if it wasn't if it weren't for Runelight.
Man, that's a good way to say it, isn't it?
Yes, Varlamore makes Hunter so good. I love Hunter. So good.
That's a really good way to say it. Yep. That's crazy. How about that? Fuck them.
It's almost all bad news. Many former big names in the space either fled to PR, game development itself, or have fashioned their own independent entities like Kinda Funny Games or the recently formed Aftermath.
They fled to PR. Maybe that's why people stopped reading the articles. Says a lot.
Others have realized that you yourself sort of need to be
Yeah, they already had the
brand
experience. Yeah, true.
with a big social media presence. A paywalled newsletter or your own YouTube/Twitch space to draw a consistent audience. This is essentially what I've done for the last 2 years, especially.
No, see, Legendary Drops is a great example of this. So, like, this guy started making content, like, maybe a couple years ago. And, like, his videos are popular already. Like, a lot of his videos, right? Like, look at this one, 127K, 200K. These videos are already getting more views than a lot of IGN videos. So why is it that somebody who just randomly starts, and also don't be like, oh, because you watch them. I watch IGN too. I watch other places too. It's not, I've reacted to people and then like, nobody's going to go watch after that because maybe they don't like the video so much. It depends on what it is. So again, it's if you build it, they will come. Make good content and people will watch it. Here's a great example. You know how, like, developers sometimes are like, man, oh, man, we just had bad timing on our release. Man, it would have been good, but the timing just wasn't right. Elden Ring could have released 10 years ago or 10 years from now. It would have still been an insanely fucking good game. Same with Dark Souls 1. Baldur's Gate 3 could come out 10 years from now, and people would still lose their fucking mind over it. Total fucking...
Alright, David, thanks for watching. Thanks for talking and stuff.
Copium. Do you remember whenever Enshrouded came out at the exact same time as Power World that was like an international fucking world phenomenon? And it still held over 100, 200,000 concurrent players? Because it was still that good. Of course there are environmental factors, but they're never the deciding factor. It's the same with streamers. Kai's a great example. 10 years ago, Kai would have been extremely popular. People would love them. 10 years from now, if somebody like Kai comes on the scene again, people will still love them. That's the reason. What? Absolutely. Kai's just one example. Disagree with streamers? You disagree with streamers? Oh, I don't at all. I think that a lot of streamers... Like, now, here's what happens a lot of times is, like, streamers kind of, like, they're really entertaining at the beginning, and then, like, they make enough money, then they get lazy, right? This happens a lot. But if you take, like, a lot of streamers at their best, and you place them at any period in time inside of the Twitch ecosystem, and if they came into that, because a lot of people tell themselves, oh, well, you can't get into streaming anymore, it's too populated, right? Or there's, you know, oh, it's too watered down, you're not going to get the exposure. Listen, there's a person who you're going to know their name next year who didn't believe that. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit cope from people that are trying to rationalize their own failure.
It's hard to see things getting any better. I feel for my colleagues who are enduring this sort of thing essentially
Sketch and Jinxie per
every
reason?
month
Yeah, and they're great.
at this point. And I feel like the recent Google AI push, especially, is a Mad Max dust storm on the horizon.
And this is another example of the one-dimensional journalism. Try to find me some articles about how AI is good for video games and is good for video game companies. And you're not going to see any of them because all of the articles are being written from the perspective of the industry and not from the consumer. That's, again, the problem. Again, and again.
Is poised to blow everyone away for good. God help us all. Mm-hmm. What I want you guys to take away from this is that there's a lot of different things that are going on. And there's some of these companies that wholeheartedly deserve to lose their business. There's journalists that are out there that totally deserve to not have a job. But at the exact same time, there's a huge group of guys that are out there and gals that have been working really hard to bring us great information in the best way they possibly can, that have been making quality content for years. And without them, we wouldn't have access to the things that we have access to. And if we don't have access to that, then we're not making educated purchases, and we don't know more about the games that we want to know about. And we play less games as a result of that, or we play worse games as a result of that. And I don't think that's what anybody really wants.
You're right.
But at the exact same time, this is something that is totally brought on by many of these companies that are out there because they're the ones that have, I mean, they've compromised
They've
themselves.
destroyed their reputation. And they've destroyed their reputation with their core audience.
Time and time again. They've damaged their own reputation. I don't even know how many times. Looking at websites like Kotaku or
Kotaku's the worst
Polygon
one. Yeah.
or even IGN in a lot of cases as well. And, you know, you can't expect the players and the readers to be upset or try to fight for you when you fought against them time and time again. So
that's a great point. Yeah. These websites, and a lot of times, like especially with like Kotaku and Polygon and some of them, they feel like they are directly oppositional to what their customer base and what their consumer base wants. It's directly oppositional.
One of those moments where it sucks to see some of them go away, and I don't like to see the industry continue to collapse upon itself like it is right now. But at the exact same time, like, some of it's totally deserved. But I think you want to try to do your best to, instead of directing it at the entire industry, direct it at the ones that you know are a problem, and then just keep it to that. And don't let it bleed over into anything else, because there's a ton of folks that are out there that I think are well worth keeping around.
That's also a really good point he's bringing up, is that it's sad that, like, because gaming journalism has such a bad reputation, every single person who is a gaming journalist is, like, celebrated whenever something bad happens to them. This is absolutely true. And it's disappointing that happens.
It's great that they're trying to diversify a little bit. They're getting into YouTube content creation, or they're streaming, or whatever it might be. And that's great.
And also, like, here's another, like, meta level thing, is that the consumer doesn't really care about, like, the problems that you have with your job, or, like, why those problems exist, or anything like that. Like, and I think this is especially true with, like, entertainment and journalism. Things that, you know, for example, like, a lot of work goes into streaming, but that work isn't respected by the audience. Like, if I say that, people are going to say cap. Now, if, you know, you ask a streamer, like, they'll probably think that for sure. But, like, it doesn't really matter to the audience because people don't perceive that. And the way that people perceive things is more important than what actually exists, because the way people's perception is informs their reality. So what happens is that people start trying to, it's like you want to be seen. You want people to, like, see your perspective, and, oh, I want people to, like, sympathize with me and, like, see what my problems are. Like, for example, whenever I couldn't play video, you know, like, music on my stream anymore, like I have a whole playlist here, and I listen to music all the time, but I can't play any of this music.
Oh, I'm not on camera. It's just my voice. Or are you talking about my player's shirt?
Because it's like the DMCA. Like, I can't expect the audience to feel bad for me for that, because that's not their problem.
Well, what's up, Stalwart? Stalwart?
Why the fuck would they care?
Stalwart?
Yeah, it might be bullshit, yeah, but, like, I can't really, like, if the content is worse, don't expect people to martyr themselves and enjoy your worst content because they feel sorry for you. You see kind of like what I'm saying here? We care? Well, yeah, you guys do care, but to the extent that you care, I get you guys care, and I appreciate that. It's great. But the difference is that if the content is really bad, like, for example, if I am, like, not feeling good, let's say in an imaginary world, I actually get sick, okay? I get genuinely sick, and I'm not able to talk on my stream, and I'm just playing video games silently. There would be less people that would watch that stream. That's just the way it is, right? That would be it. And so, is it my right to get mad at the audience for that? No. Because you forget what your role is. People forget what their role is, and they get parasocial. The same way viewers, you're lying to us. No, you didn't actually do it. You feel that is that the way you really feel? Oh no, he's just doing this for money. Oh, it's not the same as it used to be. That little. If I'm not going to go any farther. If I do, I'd get banned. Anyway, streamers and content creators do the same thing. They just do it in a different way. And this is the example of that. being parasocial is a two-way street.
But also at the same time, keep in mind that means that these bigger publications are going to be doing the exact same thing. IGN's a really good example of this. If you go to IGN right now, I think I just looked yesterday, they post like 40 to 60 videos a day.
That's a lot.
And that
That's more than me.
drowns out a lot of other voices, because that is a lot of content that's coming out. And I'm talking about everything from big games to small games. And, you know, even specifically with small games, you know, they're really just throwing out trailers and whatnot.
They
but
are.
without some of these smaller publications that are out there, that's honestly the only way that some of these indie games can even get their name out there. Even just
I mean, I want to talk about some of the OTK Game Expo stuff like later on after this, maybe, because like I want to talk about like, because I want to try to play more of a role of playing smaller and indie games and doing it as kind of like, I know Lyric does this. I think Lyric, by the way, is like one of the best streamers on Twitch, and he does this a lot, and he'll play like these smaller games, and I want to start doing more of that myself. Soda does, I know Chance does it a bit. Like XQC kind of does it. Like I know like a lot of other people, like I do it even sometimes too, right? But like I want to make it more of a thing.
On people's radar at all, because they don't have the money to
later.
be able to go to IGN Megacorp to be able to have them cover their game, and nor is IGN Megacorp interested in covering it, because they're trying to maximize SEO, because they want as many people visiting their website and viewing their YouTube videos as possible.
And I've said many times, IGN, I think, is making a good decision by doing this. I think they're being very intelligent with the way that they're doing their YouTube channel, because they're using their YouTube channel in order to fund and offset the amount of money that they're probably losing on their website. And it's like you have to evolve and change with how the economy evolves and changes and the market changes. And IGN is doing that better than any other games company out there. I don't agree with everything that IGN says. I think a lot of their articles are misguided and wrong. But I think that their approach and like their business approach to it is the most modern.
They recognize that little baby indie game is probably not going to get them all the clicks and all the views that they need to be able to make boatloads of money. So this is something that not only hurts us as consumers, because we don't have access to as much information as we should, but also at the same time, it hurts indie developers that I know a lot of us are champions of. And that also sucks, because that means that there's less games that are out there for us to play because we just can't find them. And
I need to play a bigger role with that.
It's not good. Yeah, even more so if you think about it. If we think that any of these companies will just make a full shift to just being like content creators instead, right? Like think if IGN just completely
I think
shut down.
IGN is trying to do this, but like they don't really know how to do it, I think. And like as I said, I support this transition. I think they're making the right call. But it's pretty clear they don't really know what they're doing. I'd be glad to consult with them or help them and get on a call and talk about it a little bit, like what their plans are. Sure, because like I think it's better for everybody if we have a place like IGN that's like that's doing the best that they can for us. Buy IGN. Maybe that's not going to happen. I don't have that much money. Chill out.
On all of their websites and just went straight to YouTube instead. They can pump out more content and have better access to information than any other YouTuber that's out there. And that means that like folks that are just trying to get started will probably never take off, because they're never going to have that kind of access to information unless we're really trying to have the internet just be nothing but React channels. And while I appreciate some React content myself, I don't think that's the kind of website that I want to be on. And
I agree with that. I actually, this is kind of like a thing with me. I've been thinking about this a lot myself. Like, I really want to start, like, I want to start making, and I've started doing this more, right? I want to start making more of my own videos, and that way people can react to my videos, right? So, like, I can be at the front and the back of the human centipede of YouTube. And I do have, like, a lot of topics, like, I have written down on, like, my phone and everything. So I'm going to start trying to, like, record videos more regularly. Hopefully now that, like, I'm going to be trying to start earlier in the day, I can record after I go live and then talk a little bit more about that. Yeah, because I do definitely think that, like, original content's really important. Absolutely. Ooh, what topics? A lot of topics, like, I mean, there are some things about gaming journalism. I kind of did that video already. I think right now it's about indie games. I want to talk a little bit about how, like, indie games are changing and, like, how, well, this is completely off the point. I've got a lot of ideas.
I think that's what a lot of the content a lot of people want to watch either.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. Dark
Like
times
Mutahar?
ahead. That's all I
Yeah,
can say.
Mutahar does great.
If I had to give any piece of advice, anything that I would want people to do, find publications and find people that you want to support and support them. Actively support them. Look at like Second Wind. Like, say, if you like, I've always really enjoyed Second Wind's content. Some of the stuff I don't agree with, some of the stuff I do. It goes back and forth. But with that said, I sub to them. I sub to their Patreon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to be able to support these folks because, well, if you don't, then they're not around. So,
Yeah.
that's it. Anyway, hope you guys
And
enjoyed
again, that's why, by the way, these other gaming websites aren't around that much more now. It's because people aren't supporting them.
video. I enjoyed covering this. It's nice to get back into like general industry topics. I haven't done this in a while, so just kind of shaking off the rust a little bit. If you guys enjoyed this video,
I think he's making
like
a good call with
the
that.
channel or like the video, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Twitch if you guys want to catch me live. I talk about news and stuff like that before I play games every single day. Outside of that, my friends, stay cool, stay righteous, stay safe, and I will see you in the next video.
It was a good video. So this is impressive. Despite your success, you still want to create more of your original content?
Family.
That's because
Family.
I have a different perspective on the way that like making content is, and I think also like most content creators, like I'm gonna just kind of be real. I like making YouTube videos. I like streaming. I know this sounds crazy, but like even whenever like we had been awake for like 20 hours, like me and SFan were talking about like maybe we should do a stream in the hotel lobby. You know, that'd be good, right? Or something like that. Like, I like doing this. I think that a lot of streamers kind of lose interest and lose focus with streaming. Like, I think this happens whenever, like, streamers make a lot of money, and then they, like, hit the point where, okay, I can retire right now, and I don't need to give a shit anymore. And so then they stop giving a shit. I think also some people are, like, there are some people that are very creative, and then because they're creative, they feel like whenever they're doing the same thing for a long enough period of time, it kind of drains their creative energy. For me, I am kind of like that. And that's why I've changed my content a lot. Like, go back 2 years ago, my content's different than 2 years before then and now. And I bet 2 years from now, I hope that my content will be different than it is here. So I think that streamers and like people that are successful on YouTube, a lot of times, like what happens is that they enjoy doing it, but they might get burnt out, but they can't kind of recharge because a lot of times, like, I think people stop enjoying it as much and they're just doing it for the money in a lot of cases because it's like, okay, well, now I don't want to do this as much, but I'm making like, you know, 100 grand a month. Like, how am I going to stop, you know, fucking spinning that fucking $100,000 a month crank? Like, bro, I ain't about to quit that. And so, of course, right, it becomes a job, right? Where it's like, for me, like, so like every job then? Well, it depends, right? I mean, what's happened for me is that like streaming is like, that's like, this is my time off, right? As soon as I finish this stream, I have to follow up with OTK Games Expo. I have to look at games we're going to be publishing. I think I have another meeting tonight. I have to make sure I call my dad, probably go over to his house and help him out with stuff. Then I've got to like get dinner. I've got to make sure that I have other things ready. Let's see, besides that, oh, fuck. There's, like, other stuff I need to do. I'm trying to remember. Oh, I have to follow with my agent about an opportunity that might happen or might not happen. Then I need to talk about, like, planning for, like, another event. Like, I'm doing stuff all the time, right? So, like, for me, I felt like the... like, I like streaming. I enjoy Starforge. I mean, when we do have the blue PC that's coming out now. Starforge is, by the way, like, Starforge is doing, like, insanely fucking well. Like, it's crazy how good it's doing. Wow, thank you. Yeah, everybody who supported and, you know, even liking tweets and stuff like that, it's been fucking nuts, right? There's the video. Make sure to give it a like. This is a great video. Like, I feel like more people need to talk about this stuff with games journalism because it is a huge fucking problem, and I'm so glad more people are bringing it up. Abso-fucking-lutely. So, yeah, this is great.
Starforge has also been sponsoring like the perfect people. Cause a lot of things that I've watched is have Starforge ads. We're not watching this. This is a minute 23. Watch this.
Into European. The main character just got elected into European Parliament? What?
Context. Phidias, an infamous YouTube prankster, was just elected in the European Parliament for Cyprus. He's actually an old acquaintance of ours, as we already covered his escapades in the past.
This is kind of like weird. Another Johnny Somali situation, and he's got 2.3 million subs on YouTube. Traveled across Japan for free video. How did he do it? By simply illegally boarding trains and then running when the conductors tried to detain him.
So I'm entering the train and I will find the toilet and go straight to the toilet. Here is the bathroom. I would just lock myself the whole time in the bathroom. He was just waiting to catch me. So the only thing I could do is to pretend that I'm sick. When I sat down, he released me and immediately I started running. Definitely getting in trouble here. People pay when they go out of the bus. It's time to go down, so hopefully he doesn't ask me to pay.
Get off?
Yes.
680, yeah.
Only this.
80.
No.
80.
So this guy just got elected into European Parliament. An influencer secures... Oh, this is great! Oh, man.
Dang. Like, I got third place. That's crazy. Dude, this one's 15 minutes. I kind of want to watch this. The 15 best mid-game goals.
Now, Old School RuneScape famously has a very long mid-game, and a lot of players are smack dab in the middle of it. Once you've got your account set up, there's really so many things to start working towards, be it quests, achievement diaries, bossing. There's just so much in the game, and it really starts to open up in the mid-game. But what should your goals be? It can be kind of overwhelming to know what to do next. So today we're going to be looking at some of my favorite mid-game goals I think can help structure someone's journey into the later parts of this game. Now let's start off with some new content here, because recently Old School has received quite a lot of good mid-game updates. So the first goal I think you could set yourself is completing the Perilous Moons quest. The Perilous Moons is on Varlamore, the new continent, and it realistically doesn't have that high of a requirement. The biggest one is 48 Slayer, which will take a while to get, but it is more than worth it. Perilous Moons gives you access to some of the best new mid-game content, including the Moons of Peril dungeon, where you can fight a mid-game boss similar to Barrows, and you can even earn up to about 2 mil per hour here, so it's a great moneymaker. But that's not all. There's also an incredibly good training method hidden away in the Nepotzel dungeon, and that is the Sulfur Naguas, which if you kill it with the new Blood Moon armor and the weapon, it gives really competitive melee training experience, and the gear set's really not that expensive. You'll also unlock the Calcified Rocks training method, which gives you passive prayer experience, which is incredibly helpful, easy way to get protection prayers and further. And you'll even get some hunter training methods. It's really just a great all-around goal to go for, and will honestly give you access to some of the best mid-game content for your account, and it's just some of the most fun content, period. Now historically, RuneScape guilds have not been very good, but it's 2024 and a lot of them have gotten reworked. So the second goal you could set yourself is unlocking all of the guilds in Old School RuneScape. But if you don't want to do all of them, I would highly recommend just focusing on 3 of them, that being the Hunter Guild, the Farming Guild, and the Warriors Guild. The Hunter Guild is brand new and will give access to Hunter Rumors, which are kind of a contract-based system. This is a great way to train up your Hunter skill, as well as make some money in the mid-game, give you access to a ton of resources if you're an Ironman, and overall it's just a fun way to train the skill. The Farming Guild is still probably one of the most useful, giving you access to tons of different patches, including a herb patch, tree patches, and even a boss fight, that being Hespori, and probably one of the most useful being farming contracts, which is a great source of money as well. And finally here we have the Warriors Guild, which is not a new guild by any means, but it gives access to the Dragon Defender, probably the best melee upgrade that you will get for free. It's so strong. There are other guilds out there and they do have their benefits, so I would recommend trying to unlock all of them, but these 3 would be the priority. Now one I think that's kind of underrated to do as soon as possible is the Tears of Guthix. The Tears of Guthix gives you a weekly experience boost in your lowest level skill, so you can see that getting this done as early as possible will give you the most total experience for your playtime. Now the quest itself is pretty easy, it doesn't have many requirements at all. But the way the Tears of Guthix works is you get more time in there and thus more experience, the higher quest point total is. So I would recommend the quest and trying to get as many quest points as possible. I would shoot for 100 quest points at least to start off. But this is a great way to level up not favorable skills like runecrafting, agility, or mining. Whatever your least favorite skill is, just leave it as your lowest level skill and you'll get passive experience in it from the Tears of Guthix. Another underrated goal that is much easier to do in 2024 is completing the medium combat achievements. Now, prior to an update that happened last year, completing the combat achievements required you to do every single task in the relevant tier. So if you wanted the medium combat achievements done, you had to finish every single medium combat achievement. Now that was a lot more of a process because you had to kill tons of different bosses and complete literally every achievement. But nowadays they've made completing combat achievements way more flexible because each difficulty of achievement just gives you a certain point total. You only need a certain threshold to get the unlocks for that tier. So you don't need to complete every medium combat achievement. To complete them, you will complete a few hard ones, maybe the odd elite achievement, which just makes it overall a lot easier. The medium combat achievements are great because it makes your barrows run easier. You don't get prayer drained from the Barrows dungeon anymore. That's super helpful. You get double the Warriors Guild tokens from the Warriors Guild. Pest controls faster. You can get teleports directly to the God Wars dungeon. And your Dwarf Cannon holds more cannonballs. Plus there are a ton of other things, but the earlier you can get this done, the better, and will save you time on some of your mid-game grinds. Now this is something I didn't think I'd be recommending, but in 2024, wilderness moneymakers are so lucrative. If you need to make some money to achieve some of your other goals in the mid-game, try out a wilderness moneymaker. This year we have zombie pirates, which are just absolutely insane and get easily up to 2 mil an hour with just a cannon and a very low level combat stats with almost no risk because you're just constantly banking anyway. We have the wilderness agility course, which once again can earn you up to I think 2 mil an hour. We also have Calvarion, which is also quite a profitable moneymaker. I've done quite a bit. Also pretty low risk, and Ardio as well is another really good option. These all have very low requirements that you can easily kill with mid-game combat stats and would be much more profitable than other moneymakers around that level. Yes, it's in the wilderness. If you don't want to do it, that's totally fair. But if you need a few mil for a new weapon or to level up your ranged or magic or something, a wilderness moneymaker will probably be your most profitable option for a while. Now probably the most quintessential mid-game goal is gotta be Barrows Gloves, and I don't think there's a way to have a list like this without including Barrows Gloves. It's just such a nice complete package. Barrows Gloves are going to be your best in slot glove item for quite a while, and to get them you need to complete a vast array of quests and get 175 quest points, so by completing it you will also progress a lot of other facets of your account. You're likely going to be wearing these things for a long time, so the earlier you can get them the better. Now something I'd recommend trying to get set up as early as possible is a solid herb run. In 2024, there are 8 herb patches that are pretty easily accessible for a mid-game account, and I believe 5 of those are just straight up unlocked by default. So anyone can really start doing a herb run very early on. Really all you need is Ultra Compost and the farming level to be able to plant a profitable herb. Magic secateurs are of course nice as well. Right now doing a herb run for stuff like for Nars will give you on average a profit of about 250k per run, which you can do every hour and a half. So if you do that, 3-4 times a day, you can earn yourself a mil in profit very passively. Now something that you definitely want to get sorted out as soon as possible is unlocking transportation around Gielinor. Getting around the map is something that gets quicker over time as you unlock more transportation options, so it's actually one of the most important goals to go for in the mid-game. Unlocking things like fairy rings, spirit trees, gnome gliders, all are done pretty easily. But besides that, the next thing that unlocks most of the travel options is your play-around house. I'd recommend trying to get 50 construction so you can get a mounted glory in your house, as well as a portal room which will allow you to put portals all around Gielinor. The only thing you'll need is the magic level. This is honestly going to save you so much time, and the earlier you can do it, the better. 50 construction really isn't that expensive, and is more than worth the money. Now in RuneScape, there are 4 different spellbooks you can use. One is of course unlocked by default, but the other 3 require unlocking. We have the Lunar Spellbook, the Ancient Spellbook, and the Archaea Spellbook, which all have great different options for spells you can use, which can either add more teleports to your arsenal of transportation, unlock powerful offensive or defensive abilities. For example, the Ancient Spellbook has, of course, Bursting and Barraging, probably the most powerful thing on the spellbook, allowing you to get extremely quick magic training experience or powerful heals. The Archaea Spellbook, of course, has the Thralls, which is probably one of the most powerful spells in the game. Just straight up increases your DPS no matter where you go. And we have the Lunar Spellbook, which unlocks a ton of utility and training options. To get all the spellbooks unlocked, you'll need to complete Lunar Diplomacy, Desert Treasure 1, and a Kingdom Divided, both pretty accessible in the mid-game. Now besides quests, the next kind of goal in that category is Achievement Diaries, and in the mid-game it's pretty reasonable to be able to complete all of the medium Achievement Diaries. Each region will have their own diary to it, and by finishing them you'll unlock a variety of useful perks. Not all of them are useful, of course, but some nice ones are direct teleports to farm patches, they're doing cloak teleport right to the monastery, experience lamps you can put in your most hated skills, additional resources, teleport right to the Grand Exchange, and daily rewards that you can sell for money. Not only that though, by completing these diaries you'll complete a variety of quests and skill unlocks, which will have the knock-on effect of just training up your account in a balanced way. The next goal I'd set for a mid-level account, although you could probably do this earlier than that, is unlocking the 3 Ratbane weapons. Now these are dropped by the new Scurious boss that was added this year. Scurious is pretty killable on a mid-level account or even earlier, and provides some of the best melee combat training of any boss in the mid-game. It's super good, a great way to train up all 3 combat styles, especially ranged, and magic is a great way and very inexpensive way to train it in the mid-game. And to get the Ratbane weapons, you have to actually get the Scurious's Spine as a drop, and you can combine it with a yew shortbow, a rune mace, or a battle staff to get the associated Ratbane weapon. Starting right from level 50 when you can wear these weapons, you can get nearly 100,000 experience per hour while making a bit of money as well, so it's just incredibly good. Now once again, you can't really have a mid-game list without putting the Fire Cape on it. Just such a quintessential goal, and although this doesn't have a ton of quest and skill requirements to unlock it, it is something that you should definitely get in the mid-game and is just a great goal to go for. Now you acquire the Fire Cape by killing Jad, and Jad can be killed with a wide variety of skills, but most people would recommend having somewhere around 75 ranged in a blowpipe to handily kill it. Of course you can do it with less, and if you're an Ironman you're probably going to be using something like a rune crossbow or worse. The worse your gear is though, the more practice you're going to need, and the more skill you're going to have to kill it, but it's going to be the most powerful melee cape you're going to be wearing for a long time, so it's good to get it as early as possible. Now Old School RuneScape has tons of different gear unlocks, but the most important one is normally the weapon slot. And in the mid game I'd recommend trying to unlock your tier 70 to 80 weapons. Now of course not all of them because some of them are very expensive, but unlocking or purchasing things like an Abyssal Whip, a Blowpipe, or a Trident of the Swamp are all pretty inexpensive relative to how powerful they are. And these weapons are normally the minimum that are required to do a lot of RuneScape bosses. Probably the most powerful weapon after that you can get that is somewhat accessible in the mid game, even though it is expensive, is the Osmundan's Fang, which you can pick up right now for between 15 and 20 mil. It is such a powerful weapon that you can use it a ton of different places, and in 2024 it's cheaper than ever. Weapons are significantly more important of an unlock than any other armor piece, so I would highly recommend focusing on these if you have limited cash, which most people do in the mid game. Now there are 4 Grandmaster quests currently in Old School RuneScape, and I would recommend trying to complete one of them. You have 4 options here. You have Song of the Elves, Monkey Madness 2, Dragon Slayer 2, and Desert Treasure 2. Realistically, for an account that is in the mid-game trying to look forward, Dragon Slayer 2, Monkey Madness 2, or Song of the Elves are probably going to be your best option, mainly because Desert Treasure 2 mostly just unlocks high-level bosses, so I maybe wouldn't do that one. But Dragon Slayer 2 gives you a Vorkath, Monkey Madness 2 gives you Demonic Gorillas, both of those are great moneymakers, and Song of the Elves gets you Privdinas, which has a big variety of content in it. Now these quests do have much higher level requirements just to complete them, as well as a bunch of quest requirements as well. I think a goal of finishing one of them is a great option because you'll train up your account and actually unlock really good moneymakers and training methods for some of these. Now the 3 most important prayers you can unlock in Old School RuneScape are Piety, Rigor, and now Augury, at least for, you know, later level prayers. Of course, protection prayers are pretty important as well, but I'm assuming you probably have those. So I definitely recommend trying to unlock all 3 of these as soon as possible. Now realistically, Piety is something you will unlock much before the other ones, just because the prayer level requirement is only 70, and you unlock it just from a quest, a King's Ransom. Rigor has a higher prayer level requirement and costs about 20 mil, so that is quite expensive for a mid-level account, but it is way cheaper than it's been for the last year or so, so picking it up now is still going to be cheaper than historically it's been. And Augury, which is still quite cheap right now, and now actually gives a magic damage bonus, so it's more important to unlock this than it ever has before, albeit it has the highest prayer level requirement. But in the end, these are the things that will increase your damage the most, more so than any gear, and although they can be expensive or a bit time consuming to unlock, they are more than worth it and should be done as soon as possible. Anyway guys, that's going to be it for my personal list of mid-game goals that I try to go for on new accounts. Thanks for watching guys as always, and I'll see you next time.
Alright, heck yeah. That's awesome. Alright, so I'm about to end the stream and then start it back up again. We're gonna play we're gonna play Don't Starve together. And I'm gonna be playing it with my girlfriend, so that's gonna be fun. But right now, I think I'm actually just gonna go and put in an offer. Because I still haven't gotten Augury or Rigor, and I should just get those. I'm just gonna teleport to the Grand Exchange. Alright, so the Arcane Prayer Skull is 2.7 mil. That's not bad, actually. I never got this. I guess I didn't. Alright, yeah, so we're gonna put an offer in for that, and then the Dexter's Prayer Skull is 15 mil? How does that happen? This is like the lowest it's ever been. Wait, I gotta look up, let's look at this. Oh, I guess not, never mind. What has it been for the past year? Yeah. And it's just been going down and down and down and down and down. I think I'm gonna go ahead and buy it now. This is like the really, really good time to buy it. Yeah, we're gonna put in an offer for both of them. Actually, let's do a 15.95. And then we'll do the Arcane Prayer Scroll. I guess 75 to... Okay. I'm just going to leave that in, and hopefully it buys the next time I get on. But thank you all for watching. Thanks for lurking, whatever. Thanks for chatting. Thanks. You're amazing. Love you all. And, I will see you guys in like 5 minutes. I'm gonna call my girlfriend and try to get that set up, and then I'm gonna be streaming there, so I'll be on in just a minute. The Rarg, dude, I'm in Rarg's clan. I don't even know how I got it. Like, I started RuneScape like 3 years ago because I watched one of his videos. I joined his clan, and then I just never left it because they did Corp together, and it's so fun, and they're really nice. Alright, yeah, see you guys in just a minute.